So without question, Northern Virginia is one of the best places to live in the entire country. This region features a world-class education system, unlimited career opportunities, close proximity to Washington, D.C., rich history, and so much more. But living in Northern Virginia isn't for everyone, and there's been a mass exodus recently, so why would anybody want to leave the area? So in this week's video, we're going to dive into the top 6 reasons why people are leaving Northern Virginia, and make sure you watch this video all the way to the end, because number 6 on this list is hands down the #1 reason why people are fleeing Northern Virginia as fast as they can. So sit back, relax, because we're getting started right now. Boom! Hey everybody, it's David, your favorite realtor, and welcome back to another video. So this YouTube channel is all about living and moving to Northern Virginia, and it's a fantastic place to live overall, but it's just not for everyone. In fact, I remember when I moved to Northern Virginia back in the year 2000 from Florida, I was ready to move right back. And it was a huge adjustment for me moving to Northern Virginia from Florida, because the lifestyle in Florida is night and day different compared to here in Northern Virginia. But I did stick it out. It took me a few years to adjust, but I'm so glad I stayed. But I've definitely noticed a huge uptick of people leaving Northern Virginia, especially since the start of the pandemic. So let's dive into the most common reasons why people are leaving Northern Virginia and never looking back. And first on the list is going to be retirement. So Northern Virginia is a fantastic place to live, but maybe not so much if you're retired. This area is a very fast-paced, competitive, career-driven area. And in fact, the #1 reason why people stay in Northern Virginia is because of their career. But when you retire, you're officially out of this rat race, and you're not tied to having to live in this area anymore. So when you're retired, it's time to sit back and enjoy the fruits of your labor and move out of this area. I've seen a lot of people retire and they move to the beaches of Florida, or they move to the beaches in North Carolina, or maybe the mountains in Denver, basically anywhere that's completely different than Northern Virginia. When you're retired, you realize I can live in my dream location for the same amount of money, or even way less compared to what I'm paying to live here. So it's a no-brainer to pack your bags and get out of here as fast as possible. An exception to this rule is if you have a lot of family here in Northern Virginia and you don't want to be far away from them. But if all your kids are growing up and they live in other parts of the country, then there's literally no reason to stay here in Northern Virginia. So that's why, without question, retirement is one of the biggest reasons why people are leaving Northern Virginia. Now, the next reason why people are fleeing Northern Virginia, and that's gonna be career opportunities. Now, one of the biggest pros to living in this area, and actually the #1 reason why people relocate to Northern Virginia in the first place, is we have incredible career opportunities here. Now, as great of an area this is for your career, there's still gonna be many career opportunities all across the country. Now, whether you're gonna work for the same company and just transfer to a different location, or you go into a brand new company or even a brand new industry, I'm starting to see a lot more people leave this area for new career opportunities. Now, one of the best parts about leaving Northern Virginia for a new job opportunity in another part of the country is if you can get a similar salary to what you're making here in Northern Virginia, and you move into an area that's a lot more affordable to live in, well, guess what? Your money's gonna go a lot farther. Especially if you move to an area where the average sales price of a single family home is like, let's say $500,000, not over $1 million like it is here in Northern Virginia. So in this scenario, if you're packing up and leaving Northern Virginia for the exact same salary that you have here, you're gonna feel so much more secure financially because your cost of living is gonna be drastically lower. So yes, leaving this area for a new career opportunity in another part of the country is without question one of the biggest reasons why people are leaving this region. Now, as much as I love making YouTube videos about living right here in Northern Virginia, what I love even more is helping folks just like you relocate to the area. So if you're ever thinking about moving to Northern Virginia, reach out to me, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. Just know I got your back when you're moving to Northern Virginia. Now, the next reason why people are fleeing Northern Virginia is some people just don't like living here. So some people don't like living here, not for one reason, but a combination of a lot of things. And most of these things are pretty small, by the way, but they definitely all add up. So I mainly see this with people who moved here in the past 5 years from another part of the country. So what are some of these small reasons? Well, I'll just name a few. First, we have the personal property tax, aka the car tax. Basically, it's a yearly tax you get for the car that you already own. And every year I get a bill in the mail, and my last bill, October last year, was $1,600, and a lot of people hate having to pay a car tax. And then here in the summertime, there's a lot of bugs, especially mosquitoes. And not to mention summers, with the humidity, they are absolutely brutal, and a lot of people just don't like that. And then you have traffic. Northern Virginia is known for having some of the worst traffic in the entire country. In fact, every single year, it's ranked in the top 10 worst traffic areas overall. And then you have toll roads, and there's literally toll roads all over Northern Virginia. And every year, just like with everything else in life, the fares keep going up. Then you have high cost of living. Now this is a big one, but we're gonna tackle this more later on in the video. Also, Northern Virginia is a very competitive, fast-paced lifestyle, and it can be a huge adjustment for you, especially if you're relocating from a more laid-back part of the country. So besides high cost of living, not one of these reasons is enough for somebody to leave, but it's more a combination of a lot of these things that cause people to pack their bags and say, see you, Northern Virginia, I'm never coming back. Next on the list is remote work. Imagine working and earning a Northern Virginia salary, but living in a place with a much lower cost of living. Your dollar's gonna go a lot farther, and that's a great problem to have. So since the pandemic, remote work has become way more common, and I know a ton of people who work 100% remotely. And in a lot of these cases, they're allowed to live anywhere they want. So having the freedom to live anywhere you want has caused a lot of people to kind of like reevaluate their situation of living here in Northern Virginia, and then they realize it's time to leave this region and go to another part of the country. So I've seen a lot of people who still want to be somewhat close to the Washington, D.C. area. They'll move to Richmond, Virginia, where the cost of living there is a fraction of what it is here. And not to mention, it's only a 2-hour train ride from Richmond to D.C. I've also seen a lot of people in this scenario. They'll decide to stay on the East Coast. They'll move to areas like Florida, Georgia, South and North Carolina, Pennsylvania, basically any area that has a much lower cost of living. So when you work 100% remotely, that gives you the freedom to live anywhere you want, which is why this is a huge reason why people are fleeing Northern Virginia. Next on the list is some people just want a change of scenery. I see it all the time. People just want something new or just want to break the routine of everyday life here in Northern Virginia. And one of the best ways to accomplish that is physically moving to another part of the country. This is probably the biggest reason why Northern Virginia natives decide to leave this area. So when you're born and raised in Northern Virginia, obviously you've been living on the East Coast your whole life, so maybe you want to switch it up and go to the West Coast, kind of see what it's like living out there. Or maybe you want to be close to a bigger city, even bigger than DC, so you want to move to New York City or even Chicago. Or you want to go to something more quiet, you want to be closer to nature, so you move out to the mountains in Utah. In fact, this would be the #1 reason why I would personally leave Northern Virginia, is a change of scenery. I absolutely hate winters. I want to live in a place where it's summer year long. I want to be close to the beach. I want to see palm trees and tropical drinks. That's the life I want to live. So if I was to leave Northern Virginia, that'd be the only reason why. So yes, a change of scenery or a change of your surroundings or just a new life overall is actually a very common reason to leave any area, but especially Northern Virginia. Next on the list, and this is hands down the #1 reason why people are fleeing Northern Virginia, and that's gonna be the high cost of living. So Northern Virginia is one of the most expensive areas to live in the entire country. And one of the biggest factors to our high cost of living is our high cost of housing. Let's look at the numbers. The average sales price of a home here in Northern Virginia comes out to $740,000. Now let's compare that to the national average, where the average sales price of a home comes out to $495,000. So it is 49% more expensive to buy a home here in Northern Virginia compared to the national average. This is literally a mind-blowing number. You want to see what $740,000 gets you here in Northern Virginia? Let's check it out. So right here I'm on Zillow. This house just sold in Fairfax for $738,000. 3 bedrooms, 3 bath, about 2,000 square feet, 2-car garage. Now this is a decent townhouse, but this is literally the average townhouse for the average sales price here in Northern Virginia. So this is exactly basically what $740,000 gets you in the region. Now let's compare it to another part of the country. I found this house that's on the market right now in San Antonio, Texas, listed at $460,000, 4 bedrooms, 4 bath, over 3,400 square feet. I mean, this is a beautiful house. This house literally will probably be about $1.2 million here in Northern Virginia. So $740,000 just buys you the average townhouse here in the area. Now compared to the $495,000 national average, that buys you a great single family in a lot of parts of the country. So yes, the high cost of living is the number one reason why people are fleeing Northern Virginia as fast as they can. But if you want to see a real world example of what to expect with the high cost of living, 2 weeks ago, I did my own personal cost of living expenses for living here in Northern Virginia. Definitely go check that video out. I'll leave a link to that video in the description. And if you want to learn more about living or moving to Northern Virginia, check out these videos right here. They can be great resources for you. And I'll see you on the next video.